The Moonkin, the perfect biological organism to have ever existed. So feathery, so fluffy. But once you actually turn into one, everyone automatically thinks that you're retarded. Why is that? Well, in today's video, I want to go over the reasons why one would think Moonkins are bad and classic, and maybe find out why anyone would want to play Moonkin in the first place. So, let's just hop into it. Now, the number one issue I see spouted everywhere is that Moonkins should be in fact called Moonkins, or out of mana Moonkins. Now, playing a Moonkin for so long, I can attest that mana is an issue, but only because of our toolkit. I mean, we get Innervate and a 15% mana regen from talents, which is pretty cool, but warlocks get fucking life tap, and mages get mage shit like evocation, mana gems, and even clear casting because they're apparent gods. So to get around this issue, we Moonkins have to farm for hours upon hours to get as many demonic runes as possible, as well as mana pots. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's a demonic ruin? Well, it's just life tap for poor people. But even with that, we are still some thirsty motherfuckers, and you can see us chugging down big gulps like our life depended on it, because it kind of does. And that brings us to our next problem. Even if we had full mana and were able to spam our abilities to whatever content we wanted, our birdie eyes sadly like to go cross-eyed, and we actually miss our targets quite a bit, and that's because we don't get any hit from our talents. Which gives us the pleasure of hunting down 16% hit from our gear alone, to make sure that we can actually compete with the other guys. I can hear you now. Oh, I'm a warlock and I don't get any hit either. Well, shut the fuck up, bitch. You guys get hit from your actual tier pieces. Mookins don't get anything from ours because they were made for hippies. No offense to Mythal. Either way, this means that we can't stack more spell damage / crit like the other guys because we have to focus on hits so much, therefore making us weaker. On top of that, our main damage ability, Starfire, is a 3-second cast time, and that's with getting the damn talents. And what about our AoE? Oh, you mean Hurricane with a minute cooldown? Yes, it's a thing. So, why would Blizzard make these decisions that are so obviously bad? Well, for one thing, they did make druids a jack-of-all-trade class. Good at all, but master of none. Meaning they can be powerful, just very averagely, and this goes for all specs as well. On top of that, Moonkins were designed by a baboon, and although a very smart one, he didn't know exactly what Moonkins were going to be, and this is why we get melee focused talents in our tree. And some think the Moonkin was supposed to be a tank of sorts, and many things do support this theory. Either way, it added to the whole mess of the spec overall. Now, all the issues I have listed do have workarounds though. The mana one can be worked on with demonic ruin / mana potions, and frankly, I only have trouble during the Raggy fight and the Nefarian one. As far as hit, we could totally hit our 16% hit cap without tier sets as well. But the average player doesn't see all that gets worked on to make the spec somewhat viable. And this is another issue, player perception. It's pretty justified as well. I have found that the WoW community is very mid-maxy, and if you aren't playing or doing whatever you are doing to the max, well, then you're a shitter, and people will be more than happy to point out what you're doing is wrong, and that you shouldn't even be allowed groups at all. Which, why would you be? I mean, as a Moonkin, you're asking 39 other people to adjust for you to be there, and everyone wants the fastest clear times now. You're just going to be a hindrance to getting that done. Yeah, no dog, gotta achieve the maximum everything even though I'm nowhere near the game level of apes, but I watch Twitch a lot and follow the Reddit, so I'm pretty fucking hardcore. I'm just kidding. Not everyone is like this, and you can totally fight guilds and even pugs that are willing to take you as a Moonkin, but you do have to be prepared to get shit talked if you do play one. I mean, to be fair, you are suboptimal, and mixing that with a community that highly focuses on optimizing everything, well, it isn't a good mix, and you can't blame the community either. World of Warcraft broken down as a numbers game, and it's not surprising that we nerds like numbers. So why would you even want to play a Moonkin? And after talking to many druids and Moonkins alike, I've come to the conclusion that you play because you have fun with it. And some people like the support style a bit more. Some, like myself, like to push the balanced druid to do more damage. Others like how it looks. Some druids like being a druid, but don't really enjoy the other specs, so they roll Moonkin, etc, etc. I personally love playing the Moonkin for the community aspect. There really isn't too much of us, and you can quickly learn the Moonkins on your server. And you can find little pockets on the internet with people openly discussing Moonkins and how to really improve their gameplay. On top of that, the druid community is a pretty tight-knit one, at least on my server. So I'm just going to do a quick shout out to the druids on Fairbanks, Horde, and Ally. You all are some cool people. The point is, playing a Moonkin, even with all of its downsides, can be fun. Some people enjoy the challenge and really try to figure out how to make the spec work even better than what we already know. And even with everything I have listed as issues, for the most part, we have figured out ways around them. And although the meters do tell a story for us Moonkins, I still encourage everyone to at least give them a chance. Sure, we won't be topping meters, but I say if a Moonkin can stay somewhere near the mid and still bring the utility, be it a Brez, a taunt to get a mob off a healer, off healing and decursing, then that sounds pretty good to me. And if you are actually looking into playing a Moonkin, well, I'm going to bring up one other issue. There really isn't too much information going around for us Moonkins, especially here on YouTube. I try my best to personally make content, but honestly it takes several different people with different ideas or opinions to really make something great. And I'm certainly not the best, and I never claim to be. I'm simply trying to push for Moonkins because I enjoy the spec a lot, and I think many people would as well. And although these guys certainly do not need my shout out, I'm simply going to list some Moonkin content creators, be it just a video or even a channel, to help jumpstart someone's journey to playing a Moonkin or switching to one. First up, we got Hamster Wheel. I would say that he was actually one of the first people to really push Moonkin content, and his videos still ring true today. His gearing up guides really brought wider attention to Moonkins, and not only that, his content overall is great and I highly recommend him. Next up, we got Classic TJ with his Balanced Druid Deep Dive with Skinwalker. It's a great video and I highly recommend watching it because Skinwalker is one of the best druids in the world, and you can definitely learn a lot from this video. Next, we have Lackluster Gaming. Now, he doesn't do videos and he mainly streams, but simply watching him play Moonkin and asking him questions will for sure help improve your overall Moonkin game. Now, last but certainly not least is Wowie, or Wooey. I'm not sure how to 100% say it, and he hasn't corrected me on either of them, so I'm gonna go with Wowie. He streams raids and puts out guides, with some even going more meta than just plain balance. He even dips into PvP a little bit. His channel will for sure help you out, and not only that, he's willing to answer any questions you throw at him during a stream, so I highly recommend him as well. For the PvP side of things, we have Javel Questionmark, an awesome channel with guides on killing specific classes 1v1, and overall showing how good balance can be for PvP. Evanflow also has a few videos out for balanced PvP, and although not really guides, you can still learn a lot from just watching the videos. I also highly recommend the Soda Poppin' Deep Dive with tips out. It's by far one of the most educational when it comes to PvPing as a druid, and although not really Moonkin focused, I just had to include it. And of course, this isn't all of the creators when it comes to classic Moonkins, and if you have some guides or videos you want to share, please feel free to comment them down below. But to end the video, yes, Moonkins are not number 1, but we certainly can be mid-tier, and bring a lot of utility to a raid, enough to where a good Moonkin can help turn a raid around if things are going bad. And not only that, we are a small community that is always trying to learn and grow, which I think is personally pretty cool. Anyhow, hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Activate.